John Spytek's first big move as general manager of the Las Vegas Raiders was a smart one. He locked in safety Isaiah Pola-Mao with a 2-year deal worth up to $8.45 million. And honestly, I love when my predictions come true. Back in 2022, when Pola-Mao joined the team as an undrafted free agent, I said he had the talent to make the roster and eventually earn a starting spot. Well, look at him now. His hard work is paying off, and Spytek clearly saw something special in him too. But this move raises an important question. What does it mean for the Raiders' other free agents? The team has nearly $100 million in salary cap space, but there's a lot to balance. The offense needs improvements, and the defense, which has been solid, needs to be kept intact. Max Crosby, a key player, is running out of guaranteed money, and other stars like Robert Spillane, Adam Butler, Nate Hobbs, and Trayvon Mullen are all approaching free agency. The big question now is there enough money to keep everyone? One player the Raiders are undoubtedly going to prioritize is Crosby, and rightfully so. This guy doesn't do anything half-hearted. Every time he walks into the Raiders facility, it's like he sets a new goal to outwork everyone around him, and he consistently delivers. He earns every cent of his salary, and it's clear that the Raiders recognize his value. Max Crosby is the kind of player you want to build your entire team around. His relentless drive, work ethic, and leadership make him the perfect centerpiece for the Raiders' culture. It's only right that the team should reward him with more guaranteed money. In the NFL, guaranteed money is usually beneficial for the salary cap, especially when it comes in the form of a signing bonus. Crosby's value to this team goes beyond stats. He's the heart and soul of the defense. Another player the Raiders can't afford to lose is Robert Spillane. After going undrafted and spending time with the Pittsburgh Steelers, Spillane was brought in by the Raiders in 2022, and he's proven to be a solid contributor. Some might argue the team could go after a veteran like Bobby Wagner in free agency, but I don't think that's the direction they'll go. With Patrick Graham as defensive coordinator, Spillane fits perfectly into the complex system the team runs here in Vegas, something Wagner is less familiar with, given his time in Washington. Spillane has embraced the "nobody gave me anything" mentality and is a great fit alongside Crosby. He's also become one of the top linebackers in the league right now. Then there's Trayvon Merrick, a player I've been rooting for since the Raiders drafted him in the second round of 2021. Looking back, I'll admit I was wrong about Alex Leatherwood, who was drafted in the first round that same year, but Merrick has shown flashes of greatness. However, after this season, I have some lingering questions about his consistency. If we're judging him based on his performance this year, there's still a lot to evaluate before deciding his future with the team. Trayvon Merrick is a player that absolutely needs to be brought back, but the big question now is whether his performance this season has pushed his price tag too high. The Raiders will have to decide if Merrick is worth a top-tier safety contract. After the year he had, it wouldn't be surprising if other teams see his potential and are willing to pay a premium for him. The Raiders will need to weigh if he's one of those players who justifies a hefty price tag, or if they'll let him test the market and see what the competition offers. Another player that's critical to bring back is slot cornerback Nate Hobbs. This one's a bit trickier, but I would still call it a must-resign situation. Hobbs is among the best slot corners in the entire league, and in today's NFL, that's a position you need to be strong in. Slot corners are on the field constantly, so having a reliable one is a major asset. The main concern with Hobbs is his injury history. He's proven he's elite when healthy, but how much risk are the Raiders willing to take on someone who's been hurt a few times? It only takes one team to fall in love with him, and with his talent, there might be another team willing to offer him a big contract. At what point do the Raiders say, "That's too much for us"? That's the dilemma. And as for Adam Butler, he's another guy the Raiders should absolutely keep. I've already made a video about it, and I stand by that. Having pressure come from all 4 defensive linemen is how you disrupt quarterbacks, like Patrick Mahomes. If the Raiders let their top defensive linemen walk in free agency, they'll lose that edge. You don't beat a player like Mahomes by letting key pieces leave the defense. It's about keeping that pressure constant, and Butler plays a major role in that. There's a big question for the Raiders when it comes to investing in the interior defensive line. Can they afford to pour a significant chunk of their salary cap into that position? Last year, Christian Wilkins was the top free agent interior defensive lineman, and now the Philadelphia Eagles have a strong duo in Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, both on rookie contracts. But the Raiders have a player of their own that deserves serious consideration. Their defensive lineman who made the biggest impact in 2023. He was the key to their defense, finishing number one in the second half of the season, racking up 8 sacks during that time. He was a game changer, and it's hard to imagine where the defense would have been without him. The problem is, before Antonio Pierce became head coach, this player was barely getting off the bench. Had the new coaching staff not recognized his potential, we might not even be talking about him right now. Now that they know what he brings to the table, they can't afford to let him walk. But the question is, how much is another team going to offer based on one strong half of a season followed by an injury? I'm hopeful that, when free agency rolls around, he'll be relatively affordable for the Raiders, but that remains to be seen. Of course, we're all happy the Raiders brought Pola-Mao back, but what does that mean for the rest of the roster? On one hand, it's a sign they're serious about keeping the key players they need to stay competitive against teams like the Chiefs. On the other hand, this decision raises more questions about who else the Raiders will prioritize bringing back. The team is on the right path, but there's still a lot of work to do. The Raiders need to make sure they don't lose sight of the bigger picture as they build a team capable of competing at the highest level. All of this raises some important questions for the Raiders. Will they bring back their dynamic safety, or will they let Merrick walk because his price tag might be too steep? Pola-Mao's deal isn't as expensive, but players like Butler and co. could require a significant investment. It'll be interesting to see how the Raiders manage their cap space and decide who to keep and who to let go. As I think about the team's situation, it makes me less and less inclined to think they'll go after one of the big-name quarterbacks in free agency this year. With so many crucial decisions to make on the roster, investing heavily in a quarterback might not be the best move right now. We'll just have to wait and see how everything plays out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.